All right, today we're talking about something that is literally everywhere you look, but you probably don't even notice it. I'm talking about micro interactions. These are the tiny, almost invisible details that make you love an app instead of just putting up with it. It's what separates good design from truly great design. So here's our game plan. First, we'll break down what these things even are. Then, we'll get into why they're so important for building trust with your users. After that, we'll dive into the rules for getting feedback right, talk about how to design with a little bit of delight, and finally, wrap it all up by showing how these tiny details create huge experiences. Sound good? Let's jump in. Okay, so first things first, what in the world are micro interactions? People call them the building blocks of user experience, and for good reason. They really are the foundation of how we interact with pretty much everything on our screens. So just take a second and think about an app you absolutely love. You know the one. What is it that makes it feel so seamless, so intuitive, it's almost like it's reading your mind? Well, I can guarantee you it's not some single giant feature. Nope, it's 100, maybe 1,000 tiny little moments working together perfectly. Yeah, I'm talking about that little puff of hearts when you like a post, or that super smooth swipe that sends an email to the archive. Even that satisfying little snap when you flip a toggle switch. Those are the moments. Those are micro interactions. Okay, so if we're going to put a label on it, here's the deal. A micro interaction is basically a small, contained moment where you and a product work together to do one single thing. That's it. Its job is to help you accomplish one little task and, crucially, to let you know, hey, mission accomplished. And what's really cool is that they almost all follow the same simple four-step recipe. It all starts with a trigger, that's you clicking or swiping. Then the system follows a set of rules for what to do. Next, and this is key, it gives you feedback to show you what just happened. And finally, there are loops and modes, which basically figure out what happens next time, or if something changes. Once you get this formula, you've pretty much unlocked the secret to making things feel clear and satisfying for users. Okay, so now we know what they are, but why does any of this matter? Well, it's because these little details have a massive psychological impact. Let's dive into how these tiny interactions are actually the bedrock of user trust and confidence. Right, so this isn't just about making things look pretty. It's way deeper. When a micro interaction confirms what you just did, it gets rid of that little knot of anxiety in your stomach that, wait, did my payment go through feeling? It helps you avoid making mistakes. And when that happens again and again, you start to really trust the product. It just feels reliable. I mean, think about it. This quote just nails it. No feedback equals zero confidence. If you tap a button and get nothing, crickets, your mind just races, right? Is the app frozen? Is my Wi-Fi out? Did I even tap it? That single moment of silence can destroy trust. Feedback is absolutely everything. All right, so if feedback is that critical, you can bet there are rules for doing it well. And you'd be right. So let's get into the practical side of things, the actual language of good interaction design. You see, good feedback isn't just thrown in there randomly. It follows some really clear principles. It's got to be immediate, like right away, so you know your action caused it. It has to be clear, no confusion. It needs to be relevant to what you're doing. It also has to be proportional. You don't need a fireworks display for deleting a single character, right? And finally, it has to be consistent. It should feel the same everywhere in the product. And one of the most basic ways we get this feedback is through something called interface states. Think about it. When you move your mouse over a button and it lights up, that's the hover state. It's just whispering, hey, you can click me. Then when you use your keyboard to tab to a link and a box appears around it, that's the focus state. Super important for accessibility. And that split second when you're actually clicking down on the button, that's the active state, confirming, yep, you're pressing me right now. When an app misses these, it's just a classic sign of a clumsy user experience. Okay, let's talk about motion, because man, this is where so many designs go wrong. The number one rule you have to remember is this: motion is communication. It is not decoration. Its job is to tell a story, to show how things are connected, to gently guide your eye, and to give you that clear feedback we've been talking about. And get this, there's actually a science to it. There's a sort of Goldilocks zone for how fast animations should be. We're talking 100 to 300 milliseconds. Seriously. Anything faster than that feels like a glitch, and anything slower, well, it just feels like your phone is wading through molasses. That 100 to 300 range is the sweet spot, where things feel snappy and natural. But what happens when the user has to wait? Waiting in digital silence is super stressful.
That uncertainty creates anxiety. That's why loading indicators are so important. And you have to pick the right tool for the job. If it's a super short wait, like under 4 seconds, a simple spinner does the trick. But for anything longer, you need a progress bar. It manages expectations and tells the user, hey, we're getting there. And for loading content, like a whole page of articles, the best thing you can use is a skeleton screen. You know those gray boxes that show the shape of the page before the content pops in? It makes it feel so much faster. Choosing the right loader is a total game changer. And of course, feedback has to change depending on whether things went right or wrong. Think about error messages. The good ones are calm and helpful. They tell you what broke and, more importantly, how to fix it. They never make you feel stupid. Success feedback, though, that's totally different. It should be quick, give you a little thumbs up, and then get out of your way so you can move on. All right, so we've covered the fundamentals: clarity, trust, feedback. But what about personality? What about joy? This is where we level up from just good design to great design. We're going to talk about designing with delight, and trust me, there is a very, very fine line between being delightful and just being plain annoying. And this right here is the key difference. Delight is subtle, it's helpful, most importantly, it respects your time. A distraction, on the other hand, is loud, it's repetitive, it screams for your attention. Let's be real, if some fun animation gets in the way of you actually doing what you came to do, it's not delightful. It's a roadblock, period. So, here's the ultimate test. How do you know if you've gone too far? Just ask yourself this one simple question. Will this still be helpful after the 100th time? That cool little animation might get a smile on day 1. But if by day 50 it's just slowing the user down, it has failed the test. Sometimes the most important design tool you have is knowing when to hold back. Okay, let's bring this all home. In our last section here, we're going to tie everything together and see how all these tiny individual details really do add up to create those big, memorable experiences that make us fall in love with a product. So, if you're going to remember anything, remember this. 1. Feedback builds trust. It's not optional. 2. Motion has a job to do. It communicates meaning. 3. Emotion is a real part of design, so pay attention to how your product makes people feel. And 4, probably the most important of all, restraint is your best friend. No one less is more. You know, if there is just one single idea you walk away with today, I hope it's this. Think of feedback as a conversation. Every time a user taps or swipes, they're asking a question or making a statement. And the interface's response, that micro-interaction, that's its reply. It's a back and forth. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Is your product a good conversationalist? Is it a good listener? Is it clear and helpful? Or is it the kind of conversationalist that just talks over you, ignores you, or mumbles? Seriously, take a look at your work and ask, what is my product really saying?
Like, share, and subscribe.